All right, everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive? Today we're tackling something pretty big, actually. The idea of Jesus as king.
Yeah, definitely more than just a title.
Way more. And we've got this excerpt from our Daily Bread that really digs into it. So, what does this even mean for us now?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because, kingship, you think power, right?
Yeah.
Worldly authority, all that.
Yeah, for sure.
But with Jesus, it's totally different.
And the source jumps right into that. John 18:36, where Jesus says, "My kingdom is not of this world."
Boom. Right there, it's like a whole different ballgame. Not about politics or armies or any of that.
Makes you wonder what it is about then.
Yeah. And I think that's where, the Old Testament prophecies come in. You know, Isaiah talked about a king who'd rule with justice and righteousness.
Oh, yeah. Isaiah 9. That's powerful stuff.
And then, even the angel Gabriel telling Mary about Jesus, Luke 1, he says, he'll reign over David's house forever.
So it's definitely meant to be taken seriously, this kingship.
Yeah.
But then the source goes and points out something kind of crazy. The crucifixion, of all things.
Yeah, that's where it gets paradoxical, like the crown of thorns, the king of the Jews sign.
Like the world was mocking what heaven was actually celebrating.
Exactly, because it's a different kind of power, right? The power of sacrifice, of love that's willing to endure anything for the sake of others.
Man, that's heavy.
Yeah.
And the source, it really hits home this contrast, even quoting Matthew 20:28, where Jesus says he came to serve, to give his life as a ransom.
It's a complete flip of what we normally think of with kings, you know? This upside-down kingdom.
Not about being served, but serving. Wow. And it's built on these pillars, as the source puts it, peace and justice.
But not the kind of peace we usually think of, you know? Not just absence of war. This is deeper. Comes from being right with God, Romans 5 talks about.
That inner peace, no matter what's going on around you.
Replacing fear with confidence, despair with hope. Real lasting peace.
And then justice. Man, the world needs that, doesn't it? But again, not just laws and courts.
This is about Jesus himself being the embodiment of perfect justice. He's the one who lifts up the oppressed, comforts the brokenhearted, sides with the marginalized.
Powerful stuff. So it's if we're saying Jesus is king, are we living like that matters? Like his priorities are ours.
That's the challenge, isn't it? Because this love, compassion, justice, it's got to shape everything we do, how we treat people, how we engage with the world. It's a high calling, for sure.
Makes you think what would happen if more people, especially leaders, actually followed his lead.
It'd be a revolution, no doubt. Power used to lift others up, service as strength, love driving decisions. Man, what a different world that would be.
So, okay, getting down to brass tacks here. What does it even look like to live under this kind of kingship? Today, right now.
$1,000,000 question. And thankfully, our source doesn't just leave us hanging with a theory. It gets practical. Starts by asking, is Jesus really the king of your life?
Ooh, that's a gut check right there. More than just saying it right.
Way more. It's about surrendering to his authority. But, surrender. That word can be tough.
Yeah, definitely some baggage there. We think weakness, giving up.
But what if it's actually the key to true freedom? That's what we'll explore next time. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Ready to keep going with this whole Jesus as king thing.
Oh yeah, definitely, because we left off on that word surrender, right?
And like I was saying, that can be kind of loaded, can it?
For sure. Not exactly a word we use a lot in a positive way,
It's true. We think giving up, losing control, weakness.
Yeah, that's the opposite of what we're taught to do, right? Be strong, independent.
But here's the thing. What if surrendering to Jesus is actually what sets us free?
Okay, now that's interesting. Explain that one.
Well, remember, this kingdom we're talking about, the source keeps emphasizing it's all about love, not force.
So it's not like we're forced to obey or anything.
Nope. It's choosing to align ourselves with a king who, let's be honest, knows us better than we know ourselves and wants what's best for us.
So it's more like trusting him to lead us in the right direction.
Exactly. Not about suppressing who we are, but becoming the best version of ourselves.
Okay, I can see how that's different from just blindly following rules.
Yeah.
But surrender, still a tough one.
Think of it this way. We're stumbling around in the dark, bumping into stuff, getting lost.
And then we choose to follow someone who knows the way perfectly.
Right. And not just any guide, but the Good Shepherd. Remember that image from John 10? Laying down his life for the sheep.
Yeah, powerful stuff. Not exactly a tyrant, this king.
Anything but. He gets close to us, walks with us through thick and thin, knows all our flaws, our struggles, and loves us anyway.
It kind of changes the whole game, doesn't it?
For sure. It's not about earning his love, proving ourselves. It's receiving his grace, letting it change us from the inside out.
Okay, I'm starting to get how this surrender thing can actually lead to freedom, to becoming who we're really meant to be.
That's it. Not mindless robots, but the truest versions of ourselves.
But practically speaking,
Hmm.
how does that work in daily life? What does it look like to actually live under his authority?
That's where those steps the source lays out come in, right? Remember, daily submission, seeking his word, serving others, standing firm.
Yeah, I like how it gets specific, makes it seem more doable.
So, daily submission. It doesn't have to be this big, complicated thing, just starting each day, acknowledging he's the king, inviting him into everything we do.
Like saying, okay, Jesus, you're in charge, lead the way.
Exactly. Then seeking his word,
Hmm.
spending time in the Bible, getting to know his heart, his values.
Like getting direct instructions from the king himself.
And as we do that, our hearts start aligning with his, naturally leads to the next step, serving others.
This is where the rubber meets the road, huh? Putting love into action.
You got it. Compassion, humility, seeking justice, showing grace, even when it's hard.
Being his hands and feet in the world.
And then standing firm in faith, confidently living as citizens of his kingdom, even when the world's going crazy.
So that's about holding on to hope, choosing joy, forgiving, even when it's tough.
Exactly. Living like what we believe is actually true, even if it seems countercultural.
This is a challenge, no doubt.
Yeah.
But it's not about being perfect, right?
Nope. It's recognizing we can't do any of this on our own. We need his strength, his wisdom, his grace flowing through us.
And that's where surrender comes in, I guess. Letting go of our control, admitting we need him.
That's when he can really work. That's when we experience the fullness of his power and love.
So it's not just checking boxes. It's about a relationship with the king that changes everything.
And as we embrace these steps, let his kingship affect everything we do, we become living proof of his kingdom.
Little embassies of heaven, right?
Yeah.
Bringing his light and love into the world.
And that's where things get really exciting, because when enough of us live this way, it starts to impact the world around us.
It's about more than just us then. It's about kingdom expansion.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this part, think about what this means for you practically. How can you embrace these steps? Let Jesus reign in your life.
Yeah, good questions to chew on. Because as we've seen, it's not just about rules. It's about freedom, joy, purpose, all that comes with living under his authority.
And that's just the start. There's even more to uncover when we look at the future implications of his kingship, which we'll do next time.
You know, through all this talk about Jesus as king, one thing's really hit me. It's how much hope is tied up in this whole idea.
Yeah, it's easy to get bogged down in the day-to-day, isn't it? But this, our Daily Bread excerpt, it reminds us there's a bigger picture, a future filled with hope.
And it's not just some vague feel-good thing either. The source gets specific, talks about Jesus returning, Revelation 19.16, coming back as King of Kings to set up his eternal kingdom.
Powerful imagery, right? The king who lived among us, served, sacrificed, he's coming back in glory to make things right.
It's almost hard to wrap your head around, this cosmic shift, good overcoming evil once and for all. But it makes you think, if we really believe that's going to happen, how's it supposed to affect us NOW?
It changes everything, doesn't it? Knowing history's not just random, but heading towards this incredible climax. It should change how we see everything.
It's like knowing the ending of a movie. Even the suspenseful parts hit different, because you know how it resolves. So we face stuff with a different kind of courage, knowing it's not the final word.
Exactly. It's like an anchor in a storm. And the source makes it clear we're not just sitting around waiting for this to happen either. We're supposed to be preparing the way, living in anticipation.
So back to the practical stuff again. Not just stargazing, but getting our hands dirty. Huh?
That's it. And it all goes back to those steps we've been talking about. Daily submission, seeking his word, serving others, standing strong in faith. These are the building blocks for now and the future.
It's crazy when you think about it. Every time we forgive, fight injustice, help someone in need, it's all part of this bigger thing, building his kingdom.
We're not just working on our own little projects, but part of something huge, bringing heaven to earth together.
But gotta be honest, sometimes the world feels so far from that, How do we keep that hope alive when surrounded by so much mess?
That's where faith comes in. Choosing to believe the king is good, his promises are true, his victory is sure, even when we can't see it all yet.
Like planting a seed, right? Can't see the full-grown plant, but you trust the process, nurture it, believe it'll bear fruit eventually.
And the fruit of this kingdom, of those practical steps, it's what the world needs. Peace, justice, love, hope, and it spreads.
Makes you wonder, what making more people got this? understood what Jesus being king really means, not just for them, but for everyone.
It'd be revolutionary. Imagine communities, whole nations, living by these values. It'd change how we deal with poverty, conflict, everything.
Makes you want to shout it from the rooftops, doesn't it? Wake up, world! There's a better way. A king who loves you wants you free.
But you know, the source makes a good point. Sometimes the best way to spread the message isn't shouting, but living it out. Being so compelling, people can't help but notice.
Like those embassies of heaven, right? Showing a glimpse of something different, something better.
And sometimes actions speak louder than words. Just being kind, forgiving, standing up for what's right. That makes a statement in a world that's often so cynical.
Like a magnet, drawing in people who are looking for something more, something real.
And that's what this whole deep dive's been about, right? Pointing people to the king, the one who offers hope, healing, a future with purpose.
It's been an amazing journey exploring all this. We've covered a lot, but I hope everyone listening feels like they can keep exploring on their own.
This isn't a one-time thing, it's a lifelong adventure. And remember, you don't need all the answers right now. Just take that step of faith, see where the king leads you.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. We'll be back soon to explore something new. Until then, keep seeking, keep questioning, keep diving deep.